Welcome to my top 10 reboots. So yes, this will be a list of superhero movies, sci-fi movies, other things. Anything that has to do with the movie term reboot is in this list. Now, of course, as always, let me know what your top 10 reboots are down below. Not remake, reboots. There's a difference. So if you need help, just Wikipedia the reboots area and see if your movie is in there. If not, then the remakes will be left to the remakes video. But in that number 10, we have The Amazing Spider-Man. Yes, I've been waiting for this movie since 2007. The very last time Spider-Man was ever on screen. And he was supposed to come out in 2011. The exact same date, I believe, as Thor was coming out that same day of 2011. But of course, Sony was a bunch of chicken shits and didn't want that to happen. Well, no, they did want that to happen, but they couldn't meet the deadline. And of course, Sony and Sam Raimi and Tobey Maguire couldn't come to an agreement, so they dropped it, and it became The Amazing Spider-Man, released exactly 10 years after the original Sam Raimi movie. And goddammit, it is better than the original Spider-Man Sam Raimi movie. I couldn't believe that shit. I couldn't believe they had pulled it off. It was great. Okay, from the web shooters to the bootleg costume he made that actually shows that he made the costume itself, which I actually enjoyed. That was probably like my favorite highlight of that movie was the costume itself. Besides Crane Dad and all the Cranes trying to help Spider-Man out. If you watch the comic book cast too, you know what Crane Dad is. But also we got to see the Lizard for the first time ever on screen. I ain't mad about it. And the fact that he tried to turn everybody into lizards, aka the very first Spider-Man video game for the PlayStation, that was kind of cool. I wanted to see that happen too, because that would have been fucking awesome. At number 9, The Incredible Hulk. Yes, coming off the unpopular 2003 movie, which I gotta rewatch and see how I still feel about that right now. Right now, I don't know yet. I want to rewatch it now that I'm older, see if my mind has kind of changed from then. But The Incredible Hulk, even though it was coming off that movie, that's probably what didn't make it help succeed a little bit. It didn't fail at the box office, but it wasn't a smash hit either. So I do believe the 2003 film was to blame for that. But I do love the fact that this movie was basically a loose remake and reboot off the old CBS Incredible Hulk with, was it Bill Bixby, I think, and Lou Ferrigno. And the fact that that very first 30 seconds is the origin story and it has the exact same chair from the TV series that he got the gamma rays in, fucking awesome. Edward Norton, fucking awesome as Bruce Banner. I even like the fact of how he looked like as the Hulk as well. I love that fact. I love that the Hulk looked a little bit more realistic in this movie as opposed to the 2003 movie where he looked like a bright green and purple CGI monster. Where in this one they actually kind of molded the CGI to make it look more like a movie CGI character, from the sweat to when the Hulk bleeds to where his teeth are actually kind of green as well. Awesome. Awesome. And how you forget that fight with the Hulk and Abomination? Can't top that, man. Can't top that. Number 8, The Punisher. Yes, The Punisher is a reboot with old Thomas Jane and Rebecca Romaine. God damn, that girl's smoking hot. But I love this reboot. I love The Punisher. With John Travolta as the bad guy, every time he got mad, the little parts of his hair come down to make it look like he had horns, kind of like the devil. That was funny. Oh man, this was just a good joy to watch, and I loved it. I loved every moment of it. I loved the action. I loved the story. I loved the depth it took. How it actually showed him drinking a lot, which is something Iron Man 2 didn't do. So if they ever have to reboot Iron Man, put the damn drinking a part of his damn storyline. That was a major factor of Iron Man. So I'm kind of glad they actually went that grittier route for Frank Castle, and it was great. It was great times. But how do you get mad at a man that fucking shoots another man in the neck with a bow and arrow? It doesn't get any fucking awesome than that. Number 7, Jack Ryan, Shadow Recruit. Unfortunately, this movie got released in January of last year instead of Christmas of 2013, where it was supposed to be. But they moved The Wolf of Wall Street to Christmas instead, and The Wolf of Wall Street didn't fare any better in the box office. Jack Ryan, however, probably would have had a better chance. So I don't know why they went that way just to give Wolf of Wall Street as an Oscar contender when they could have just had him. They could have just moved fucking Jack Ryan's release date up 1 week or 2 weeks before Wolf of Wall Street. It would have made money back then. But anyways, Kenneth Branagh directed this movie, and of course Chris Pine now takes over as the fourth Jack Ryan. I think he's the fourth one. Let me see. Harrison Ford did 2 of them, I believe. Alec Baldwin and Ben Affleck. I think he did. I think he is the fourth one. If I'm missing one, let me know. But I like this Jack Ryan. I like the fact that he wasn't really trained as a super spy or whatever. He was just like an analyst, if you will. He didn't know how to fight. He didn't know how to defend himself. When he actually kills his first victim or his first bad guy, he actually takes an impact on him. I like those little things like that. That is what makes a Jack Ryan become Jack Ryan in a sense. You know what I mean? And it's a shame we won't get a sequel to it, or let alone a trilogy, because I wanted to see a trilogy of these movies. And Keira Knightley in an American accent. Never seen that done before, but it was kind of sexy. So, yeah. And, I know his name. Excuse me. What is his name? Kevin Costner. There we go. He was also good in there as well. In at number 6, Robocop. One of the most underrated reboots ever made, and unjustly hated because of that. And it's retarded, really, but that is the world we live in. But Robocop was a decent sci-fi action thriller. The only thing I did not like about the reboot of Robocop was the one scene where Robocop actually is Robocop, in the scene where he actually, where he gets his mind wiped, and he's actually more along the lines of Robocop in that point, and he goes and kills Antoine Valen. I don't like that scene because you can't see anything, because it's more of a thermal vision type thing. I did praise it a little bit in my review. Now looking back on it, I kind of wish it was lit. Like, I know that was supposed to be like their big reincarnation of that warehouse shootout in the original RoboCop film. I kind of wish it was lit now so we can actually see that, because that would have been awesome, I know it was PG-13. You didn't really have to show any blood. The Expendables 3 got away with it, so I'm pretty sure y'all could have too, but I'm not going to complain too much because I did enjoy the movie. I hope we get a sequel out of this. I know the movie didn't make as much money back. It cost $130 million. I think it only made like $254 million or $294 million. So I hope we do get a sequel, because I do want to see how Kane would be a match for RoboCop in today's world. Will he be like a robot, or will he be like a 7-foot tall mechanical monster type robot? Along the lines of what the Rhino looked like in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. That would have been awesome. So I hope we do get something like that. That would be cool. Even though RoboCop will probably get killed because his armor is a lot weaker in the reboot. So, yeah. At number 5. sorry. Star Trek. Oh, yes. You gotta love me some Star Trek. J.J. Abrams and crew just did a magnificent job rebooting this timeline, but also making the original timeline relevant still in a rebooted franchise. Even though the only person they brought back from the original timeline was Spock. Rest in peace, Leonard Nimoy. You were fucking awesome. Live long and prosper. But anyways, yes, I had to do that. Man, watching that movie in IMAX, that was my first IMAX experience after work with a friend of mine. And the moment Spock comes on screen, nothing was said. Everybody just, out of respect, everybody just started clapping. Nobody said anything. It was fucking awesome. I love that shit. That was unexpected, and that was probably like my biggest highlight of that movie, besides the crazy, over-the-top, but awesome action scenes. I do love Eric Bana, but he is kind of forgettable as the villain in this movie. I think his name was Neo. Neo, I think his name is. But, yeah, Star Trek was a good time. Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto, awesome chemistry together, man. Simon Pegg. What? From Mission Impossible to Star Trek, or from Star Trek to Mission Impossible. How do you do that? Simon Pegg does it. Can't wait for Star Trek 3. At number 4, Batman Begins. Yes, boy. Batman Begins is one of my favorite reboots ever, of course. I want to say Man of Steel is as well, but I got a better term for Man of Steel, so I'm saving him for later. But Batman Begins, what a way to not only reboot Batman from that god-awful Batman and Robin. Thank God it didn't do Batman Triumphant, because that probably would have been equally more terrible. But I think till this day, we will never have a better origin story than Batman Begins. I don't think it will be done that good ever again. I mean, in like 2 hours and 20 minutes, 2 hours and 30 minutes, we got a full-fledged backstory about Bruce Wayne, his parents' death, his training with the League of Assassins, okay, his outing as Batman, stopping the Scarecrow, in a 2.5 hour mark. All that. How do you... Nowadays, if that was today, that wouldn't be done with that type of care. It would not be handled like that. And it would be a sad day in hell to see a Batman origin story like that again, but not done as equally as good as Batman Begins. I swear. And yeah, Batman Begins. At number 3, one of my favorite reboots, Casino Royale. Coming off the crappy 1967 version. I have not seen the TV series Casino Royale of James Bond. Coming off Die Another Day, this movie needed to happen because Die Another Day was the most forgettable Bond movie ever made. It was probably my lowest rated Bond movie I ever reviewed, I believe, to this day. And spoiler alert, if you haven't known that yet, I did review them all. So I'm in the process of trying to get them off that computer to save them for November, because I really want my reviews up. And I don't want to re-review all of them all over again. That would be tough work. But yeah, Casino Royale. Daniel Craig became my second favorite James Bond ever in the history of... Second would be... Number 1 is always Sean Connery. Please. But, oh, and of course, number 3 would be Timothy Dalton, of course. Of course. But he comes in, he owns it. Okay? He's got that suave. He has those good looks. He has that it factor about James Bond, and he has the quirkiness about that character too, because he does get a little bit of the jokes down in this movie, especially where it becomes time to get him getting smacked in the ball sack. Yeah, not very pleasant. But a very memorable movie. Great action sequences, especially at the airport. Okay? I'm not sure if the airplane or anything like that was CGI, but the fact that they actually used a truck and blew it halfway across the damn runway when the fucking jet took off, that was awesome. That was fucking awesome. Even more, not as awesome as that very first scene though. That fucking parkour dude in James Bond's climbing the construction site, and they actually did it. Great poker scenes. Casino Royale was just it about James Bond. That was just. Number 2, Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Yeah, they may be CGI characters, but you know what? It's a goddamn good movie. And you know what? James Franco, ever since the Spider-Man days, I've always said this man was going to go somewhere. I always said James Franco was going to be another one of those it factors about Hollywood. And what happened? He took off. And I'm glad that he did, because James Franco is a great actor, especially in this movie. Fucking John Lithgow, again, a fucking great actor in this movie. How do you not talk about Rise of the Apes without mentioning Andy Serkis? What can you say about Andy Serkis? It hasn't already been said. I'm out of ideas of what to say about this fucking man. It's fucking astounding. Okay? Who would have thought they would have took a second-rate character like Caesar, who really didn't show up until the 4th Planet of the Apes movie, and make him the number 1 character of the entire franchise? That's nuts. And even though it's a reboot of it's a reboot and a remake of the 4th Planet of the Apes movie. So you can kind of put it in both a remake and reboot. But I'm putting it in the reboot because it rebooted the entire franchise. So I know people on AMC Movie Talk are talking about they should lead it up until New York City. No. Why would you want to end it at New York City like that? Yeah, I know that's where Planet of the Apes begins. Why does it have to go that route? Why can't it go its own route to end up at a Planet of the Apes newer beginning? You know what I mean? Like, why would you want to... They already had a remake of Planet of the Apes with Tim Burton's version in 2001. 10 years before this movie came out. Wow. I just now noticed Rise of the Apes came out 10 years after Planet of the Apes. Crazy. But when they do eventually conclude this series, Planet of the Apes, I want to see it arrive to, will be a somewhat different timeline than the 1968 movie. You know what I mean? I want to see a different version of Planet of the Apes when they come to that point. But Rise of the Apes, great starting point, great action, great character development, great drama between Caesar and James Franco's character, whose name I forget at the moment. God, I gotta rewatch that movie again. Wow. But at number 1, my number 1 favorite reboot made is the newly 2014 Godzilla. I've waited for this movie 10 years. Since 2004's Godzilla Final Wars. I will be reviewing the rest of the Godzilla movies this year as well. And goddamn, we got it. And it was amazing. Okay? Godzilla looked amazing. He looked better than I thought he was going to look. I know they said he was going to look like more along the lines of the original. I was like, thank God. They're going to make him look like the original. And you know what? It takes the British to make a Japanese Godzilla look like the Japanese Godzilla. That's what I liked about this movie. Even though it's an Americanized reboot of Godzilla, It looks like a Godzilla movie, from the Japanese intro to the music to the setting. It's more along the lines of a Japanese Godzilla set in America, even though most of it takes place in Japan still. That's awesome. And of course, it takes the British to make a better Godzilla movie than Roland Emmerich could ever make. Because even though it's an Americanized movie, it was made by a British director. So you know what? Fuck yeah. Fucking love the British people right now. You gave us the best goddamn sci-fi movie ever of last year. And people are hating on it because of Bryan Cranston. I don't give a fuck. It's called Godzilla. It ain't called Bryan Cranston versus Godzilla. Fuck that noise. Godzilla's fucking awesome. Love the damn blue atomic breath, the shades of the old classic Godzilla films. I love the fact that he was the good guy from the start instead of the bad guy, because we already got that in 1954. So, yeah. Might as well start him off as the good guy. And if something was to happen, then you can turn him into a bad guy. Do a reversal. Have him go from the good guy to the bad guy. Have something so fucked up happen with Godzilla. He's like, you know what? Fuck the human race. Y'all about to get y'all ass kicked now. That would be awesome. That fucking awesome. Okay? Yes. Godzilla, baby. Let me know what your top 10 reboots are down below, of course. And I will see you guys later.